Welcome back, guys. This is Hightower
And Whit
from Direwolf Airsoft, and today we're going to go over HPA high pressure air systems. Alright, so as you know, airsoft is kind of changing. It started off as an AEG system, which is pretty much
the beginning of airsoft to now we're encompassing. Well, actually, shouldn't say that because back in the day there was some HPA systems available, but
they're so expensive.
They were expensive, not reliable, and today you've got stuff that's way beyond anything we could think of back then, back in the 80s.
I'm going to say when I joined the team probably about 3-4 years ago, everyone was on an AEG system. Now, I'd say about 50% of the team uses what we call an HPA system. And what that pretty much means is you're using, your gun uses an air system to push the BB out. One big dead giveaway to the HPA system is on any gun you see this little nipple on the bottom of your handle. Pretty much tells you.
Corresponds to a regulator for the tank and a line, remote line, that goes from the tank to your gun.
This being your tank.
Yep.
One of the big cons that most people who are still sticking to the AEG, the problem with the tank is on top of hydro you got to carry, most people carry about 3 liters of hydro per weekend game. You also have to find a place to fit this. It's a decent sized tank. You got to put that in your backpack or on your belt, as well as with your hydro. I mean, how do you carry yours?
I, myself, run my HPA tank in a hydration pouch, which is large enough, but yet, is small to actually feel more mil-sim. I try to combine not so much a pack that separates the tank from my water, so I try to put them both together. So there's just one pack on the back. That way it just looks more normal and it feels more normal.
You carry it on your plate carrier?
Yep, my plate carrier holds my pack, hydration pack, and my hydration in one pouch, and it runs good. I don't get any stress from any other sources, like my shoulders, so it's all contained, and the stress is all my best.
I know one guy on our team, Twitch. He actually runs his on a belt holster. I think it's a camelback bottle holder.
Runs on the low-bearing belt, and yeah, some guys like that, but for me,
it's a preference thing.
It's a preference thing.
Yeah, I run mine actually. I've got my plate carrier here. I run mine actually, right in my hydro like Whit does as well. And the great thing about these hydro packs is, you've got an outlet for your hydro and you've got an outlet for something else. I use mine for my hose. I don't carry the 3 liters like most people suggest. I carry about 1.5 liters to 2 liters.
I carry 50 ounces of liquid, which is more than enough for even like a 2-day game.
Yeah.
I don't drink a lot of water. I don't need to hydrate that much, so I hydrate before the game, which you're supposed to do. So I don't have to rely on my hydration pack to give me hydration.
And even if you need hydro during the game, I can't see one team or one person being out in the field long enough to where you're not redconning. You can go back and grab another bottle of water or more. So I mean, I throw mine back here.
If you're going to be out there longer, I also carry a separate pouch which has a Gatorade or some sort of electrolytes in a water solution that I can drink. That's outside of my hydration system.
So with cons for the HPA, give me some big pluses as opposed to the AEG.
Well, the cons is the myth, which is they shoot harder or they don't look mil-sim for certain games. I don't believe in that. I just think it's more of a reliability issue and sustainability thing.
Great thing about the HPAs is you're getting a consistent amount of air, when you pull that trigger every single time. Whether you've got a full tank, a half a tank, or barely anything left, it's still the same amount of PSI coming out of that. Unlike the AEGs, once your battery starts to go a little bit, so does the pull of the spring to get that BB to fly out of that.
Well, your battery runs down on AEG, you're going to be putting more stress on the gears and the internals. Whereas HPA, yeah, the only drawback is you got what the air you have in your tank to run through the game. So, just like AEGs, you have the right battery for the game. You have the right tank for the game. They come in different sizes. Choose the appropriate size for the type of mission or game you're going to be playing.
And you mentioned batteries, actually, and you know,
In comparison, that's
with,
what we want.
with AEGs, you've got to go with these longer stick batteries that'll last you, what, a half a day's worth of play if you're shooting a lot?
Depends on the type of gameplay. You're doing full auto, you're doing semi-auto, yeah, great. But now, it's the comparison to a gun, if you want to do like CQB, this is where the HPA kind of like sells, because I can adapt an HPA system to something this small, use a battery that's no bigger than a block of chewing gum to power it. Whereas, if I want to build something like this for CQB, and try to get a battery of this size in the stock tube or a PEQ box, good luck, because yeah, you can do it, but it's going to be a hard time to find the right parts to get the battery in there. Whereas the HPA, you drop in, whatever system you want to drop in, small battery in the air, that's all you need.
And the great thing too about these small batteries is, I've tested mine. They're about $10, so they're not that expensive. I tested one where I ran it for an all-weekend game, a 2-day game, and then I let it sit for about a month. Went and played some indoor about a week or two ago, and the battery still had juice to get this little actuator to open up and close, and it doesn't take much power to run an HPA system.
Well, just bear in mind though, if you're going to run a Polar Star, there is the drawback that if you leave the battery plugged in, whatever it is, it has the tendency to draw power, so by the time you use it again, it will be dead. Unlike the Wolverine or Hpa system, where it doesn't actually use the power when it's on the off cycle or when it's on standby. So just bear in mind, those are the differences between the two HPA systems, the Wolverine and the Polar Star. The battery is consumed throughout the entire time of the Polar Star, and the S&P, it does not consume battery power. So,
one other negative I want to go over is, let's say you're sitting here and you're playing, and you're running an HPA system. All of us run slings. So our sling pretty much keeps our gun to us. We're tethered initially by the sling. Now, unfortunately, if I have to drop my gun or go somewhere, I've got to get this sling off me and also undo, the clasp as well. So it's one extra step to get yourself removed completely from your gun. A lot of the AEG guys, they like the idea of, dropping their gun when they need to drop it and just running. Whereas us, we have, sling and then the extra, pop from our tube.
I'd like to go back to the whole drawbacks and misconceptions of that. Yeah, in the beginning, people were thinking of you can turn the regulator up throughout gameplay and increase the FPS. But you gotta realize that when you go into a national game and stuff like that, there's a lot of restrictions involved in this regulator and your FPS limits.
They actually put gate locks on it, right, too, from what I'm hearing.
So I would kind of just let that go to the wayside and just concentrate on the fact that right now they're going to be both pretty much safe. AEG, HPA, it's a safe system for both indoor, outdoor. It's just, you got to bear in mind that it's up to the field to dictate what the rules are and how they use these systems.
So we're going to go performance. I'm a big fan of just the sensitivity, let's say, of the trigger of these HPA systems. I noticed, playing back with the AEG sometimes, as I'm pulling, I'm hearing the spring pull. It's more of like a ring, pop.
Well, you got to bear in mind with the AEG, it takes a lot of tuning to get the same performance that you would get out of the HPA system. I mean, you got to build the gears, MOSFET, motor.
So let me ask you this: out of the box, an AEG, you go to shoot it. Do you like the performance? Most AEGs out of the box?
Out of the box, I would say I'm looking at 60% of the time. I hate them.
So you're already working on it as soon as you buy it.
Right. I already start dumping the gears. I already start dumping the piston, dumping the motor, pretty much just to get the performance level to the HPA. I mean, now you're looking at the cost of all those parts. I mean, it almost runs to about the same. If you're going to try to achieve like a PTW type of trigger pull, which is what we're trying to go for, but without the whole reliability issue of having a PTW and the cost associated with that type of system, then this is your best bet if you want that consistency type of trigger pull and reliability.
So when I buy, we've got, again, we're mentioning the two big heavy hitters. We've got Polar Star and we've got Wolverine SMP. When you buy one of those, Polar Star comes in a couple different kits. There's a drop-in system which works with a version 2 gearbox, and there's also, I think it just has its own big gearbox system, its own version 2 system.
Yeah, so the Polar Star is, if we don't want to speak incorrectly, but it comes in two configurations. A fully machined gearbox resemblance, like a version 3 milled gearbox or a version 2. And they also have a drop-in system which it just drops into a version 2 or maybe a version 3 right now. It depends, right? I haven't really read up on it too much, but that's the Polar Star Jack. And that's just a drop-in system for either the version 2 or version 3. But it still requires the same FCU and trigger for the gearbox. Whereas the SMP,
it's more or less just a drop-in system. The SMP works like that newer Polar Star, I think it's called the Jack or the Black Jack. You use an already pre-made gearbox shell and you just drop that piece in. Price-wise difference, that for $350 you're going to get the Wolverine drop-in system, and they've got a couple different types that do different things. You get the FCU as well. You don't get the version 2 gearbox, but if you're playing airsoft, you already got one or two of those laying around. Polar Star, on the other hand, I think they're trying to come in more competitive with their Jack at about $350, but the old Polar Star systems you're spending $600.
It's coming out at $315 is for the Polar Star Jack, and then S&P's got a couple more models that are actually just drop in, which is just the Inferno and the Hydra. Hydra's for the version 3 gearbox, and the Inferno is for the version 2 type of gearboxes, or centerline nozzle is what they call it. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, one of the plus things, at least, for I guess a nod to Wolverine, is what they've done is, typically with most of your Polar Star or HPA guns, is you get this little FCU, and this little unit is what powers your gun. It tells your gun how much air to put out with every shot, pretty much how to fine-tune your gun through this little thing. Wolverine has done a very good job of developing a couple different types. You've got one that can be controlled through Bluetooth, right off of your phone. Let's say you're going to a tournament, you don't want anyone tweaking with this. You can enter this thing into whatever the tournament tells you to, and it's locked during the duration of that tournament. Which is very good for people who, I don't want to say there's cheaters in airsoft, but sometimes people believe you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And you can lock that down by using a Bluetooth or a better FCU.
I think that's the progression of the HPA system for the future, is that being that Wolverine is going to come out with more Bluetooth type of software, that now that the regulators or the field promoters for games can actually go in and set the standards for that HPA system down the road, where 350 is all you can shoot, how much air, and how many cycles, rounds per minute are you going to shoot per seconds. So,
and this isn't a nod against AEG. I mean, one of the big pluses to AEG is you're limited to the power of that battery. Right. At the first shot, because as you know, batteries deteriorate a little bit after.
As some games go, you can't just bring air. They don't have air for you. So that's where you have to decide how much, what type of air to bring. Scuba tank to fill your own tanks at Milsim game. Whereas AEG. Yeah, you got batteries, so you can carry 10 different batteries with you on your pack, your gear. Whereas you got to carry a tank, you run out, you're gonna have to leave the game and go fill up. So that's your drawback right there, is how much air versus AEG batteries.
Yeah, I mean, I think initial cost, if you are really trying to weigh AEG versus an HPA unit, initial cost, you're gonna spend more on the HPA unit. But in terms of reliability of the gun itself and longevity, it pays for itself.
I can honestly say I've gone 2 years without even doing any adjustments or any lubrication, which goes against the manufacturer's recommendations, but I've not done any lubrication or anything to this system, and it's still reliable. And the one sensitive issue with the Hpa system is the hop up unit. I don't know about you, but I run the Pro Win hop up in this particular rifle of mine.
Both actually.
It works really well. And Dean probably runs the same one, right?
Yep, the classic blue Pro one.
Yeah, Pro Win. So hop up choice with the HPA setup is going to be your real issue in terms of reliability down the road, is how consistent it is and how much adjustment you get. The regular dial type of hop up may not give you enough adjustment, whereas the rotary dial gives you a little bit more finer tuning with the HPA, which gives you a little bit more trajectory and sustainability.
And in closing, if you guys are new to airsoft and you're trying to figure out if you like the AEG versus the HPA, do some research, maybe figure out if you have someone that knows how to work with these guns, because it's not just a pick up, drop in, and get it moving. More so maybe with some of the the actual drop in pieces like the Wolverine.
Some systems are a little bit easier.
A little bit,
but depends on the body. This
Yeah.
particular body, I had to do a little bit of fine tuning, a little bit of Dremel to get it in and fit just right to where I like it. And some of them just drop in.
Learn how to work with your guns and go to your local airsoft shop and maybe talk to those guys and figure out what they can do to help you. This is Hightower.
And what?
Thanks for watching us.